Hello? This is a collect call from
Life of a Lifer.
To accept this call, press 5 now.
Hello, friends and family. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Today we got a really cool individual that not only supports what we're doing, but I really like him on a higher level. He understands what we're going through because he spent a bunch of time in prison. You're going to hear about that, so let's get into it. Hey, all right. Here we are with OG of Manifest Something Beautiful. So I got you there, OG?
Yeah, you already know. I'm happy to be here, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. On behalf of me, my other co-hosts, the rest of Manifest Something Beautiful, we want to say we appreciate you. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you allowing us this space on the platform to advertise what we got going on.
Man, no problem. You know, I'm a big supporter of people that have formerly been incarcerated, done a bunch of time, and gotten out and done something so beautiful like what you've done with your company. If you would, tell us about some of those things that you got going on.
Yeah, we have an independent company. I have 4 other partners, and we manifest something beautiful. We are an independent entertainment company. We provide video illustrations. We do a little bit of everything. We provide merchandise. We customize merchandise for other independent artists as well. And we also sell our own brand that we're trying to establish called Parliament, which my brother from another mother who just got released from prison last year, he came home after doing 24. And we're just trying to launch this brand that we thought of. He thought of the idea on the yard. He came out with the design, and now that he's home, we're trying to bring it to fruition and make it a real thing. So we also have sponsorship through Honeysuckle Magazine. Shout out to Jamie, showing love. Shout out to Born Magnetic for introducing me to them people. And yeah, man, we have sponsorship through Honeysuckle, which is a socially conscious magazine that really dedicates time to people like you and myself, that ex-cons and convicts and their trials and tribulations and their triumphs. And they really focus on the struggle of the system and the prison reform, and they focus on CBD, all the health benefits of using medical marijuana. It's just trying to create awareness.
Got a lot going on, man.
It may seem like a night. To us, it's just not enough. This is just like the tip of the iceberg. We have a project that we released last year, self-titled, Manifest Something Beautiful. That's available on all streaming platforms. Just type us in, the OG Audio _ Myth, and all the music will pop up on all the streaming platforms like YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play, so forth and so on. One of our lead singles off that project was a song that we dedicated to the police flame of Mike Brown. Because that's the name of the song, Mike Brown. We turned it into an acronym that meant murdering innocent kids everywhere. Brown. So it's a real touchy topic. It's really heartfelt. We really jumped in our bag and really got really emotional because it was an emotional time. I don't know if you're aware of that situation that happened in St. Louis where they killed the innocent black guy, unarmed black man. And that's when we just dedicated that song and just express how we felt and just to show love to his parents. Because me, myself, I lost my son right around that time. So it really hit home for me. My son was innocently murdered in the streets of Washington, D.C. He was murdered by his mother's husband. And the guy got off on stand the ground rule. You see what I'm saying? So he killed an unarmed man and got off on stand the ground. So when that happened to Mike Brown, it was like I was already emotional. So I connected right to that emotion without a problem. So we had to make a song to demonstrate how significant and how insignificant the system viewed black lives.
Wow, that's powerful, man.
Like the opening bars is black mothers keep stressing. Nowadays they're feeling more afraid, sending their sons outside. They might fill a grave by the hands of a cop, heart filled with hate, racism. Just tell them to rely on God and everything God placed in them. Those are words those are not just lyrics. Those are words to live by, because those lyrics was inspired by a black mother. It was Mike Brown and Tamir Rice inspired that whole song. Tamir Rice was a kid in Ohio, got killed outside playing with a toy gun. The police pulled up and they didn't give him 3 seconds before they opened fire on him. So it's like, what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to send our kids outside? Like, women that I knew was actually literally scared to send their kids outside to play. Like, they'd rather keep them in the house and give them phones and give them an Xbox or a PlayStation. I'm like, no, send them outside. Send them outside. Don't be afraid. We just have to give them, I feel, what the proper knowledge to guard them, to deal with them situations. No one can control the actions of another man. You only control the actions of yourself. So if it happens, I guess it was meant to be. It's sad to say.
People are getting locked up for endless amount of years when the system in place doesn't have a way to rehabilitate people. It's mostly just lock people up and throw away the key.
You know, it's the culture of the police, the way they're trained. They need to be retrained. They need to come up with something different, because it seems like they train them to be afraid. You see what I'm saying? So they're responding out of fear more time. And now, I don't hate police. I know police are very much needed. Who really wants a world with no police?
I mean, that would just be anarchy.
Chaos. Over in Europe, there's places in Europe where the police don't even carry guns. And the crime rate is down. It's way lower than over here. So they have plenty of examples that they could draw from if they really was trying to civilize themselves and try to see everyone as equal. Police play a part, but at the same time, I want to arm my children. I want to guard them and give them the right thing so that they're prepared when they're in these situations. And the main thing is not to be afraid. And that's what we try to focus on. Our music is really surrounded around messaging. We want to give you something. We're trying to create a lyrical, musical experience. We want to take you somewhere. We want you to feel like I'm a cousin, because you're so much familiar with my story, my trials and tribulations. You almost feel like we're relatives because you know so much about through my music. You know? So that's the comment that we're trying to create.
Well, I respect it, man. I'm a big supporter of Manifest Something Beautiful. I just really appreciate, man, you coming on here and wanting to be a part of what we're doing, believing in it, seeing the vision, because I think that you have a similar vision. And when we all come together, when all the different people that really believe and unite under this common bond that we have and be able to have a voice in it, not just talk about it, but really live it, live this change, I think it's going to make an impact. I really do.
You're right. I believe that wholeheartedly. One stone at a time. Our theory over here at Manifest Something Beautiful is just one supporter at a time. Every effort is a concentrated effort. We're trying to convert one person at a time so that we have genuine support system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. We're all people. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are. At the end of the day, nobody's lesser or greater. Doesn't matter which color you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's that simple.
Now, I talk to people all the time. I tell them when I was in prison, I got into an incident where I was charged with assault. Now, you in there, so you know how it goes. When you go, they lock you up, they serve you your papers, and you gotta wait for a hearing. And you know they have a certain amount of time or the case gets thrown out. In that particular case, I never got the hearing, so the case got thrown out. I still stayed in the hole for 2 years without being convicted of a charge. Now, I did a lot to fight for my mental health in there, to stay mentally healthy in there. And I know times has changed. And one thing I know about being in prison, once it only gets worse, it never gets better. So my question to you is, what are some of the things that you do to make sure your mental stay healthy? Because I know there are plenty of days that become depressing, and you have a lot going on. So I know you do all these things to sort of like keep you up, to keep you going, because even though you're serving the right sentence, you sound like you come home. I could not tell that you were sentenced, right? Because you sound so energetic. You sound so full of life on the other side. So like, once again, I just want to know, what do you do to keep your head above water? Because I know that you are surrounded by people that give up all the time.
Man, you know what, OG? I appreciate the question. I'll tell you, it's very simple, bro. God, man. I got God with me in my heart, and that really gives me the peace of mind. And the other thing that I really have is I found love. I have a beautiful wife that was able to see past the limitations of me serving life in prison and got to know me for who I am and showed me love that I've never had before. I've never had like the love of a woman that loved me unconditionally. Basically, I mean, don't get me wrong, she's got some high standards, man, but, you know, and I fall short of those sometimes. However, she still loves me despite that, and that really has made me to want to strive for more and to keep myself going, because I think that love is a powerful thing, man. And I feel like my life has a purpose, and I found my purpose, and that is to share my story with other people, because really at the end of all of this, what I want to focus on is the youth. I want to focus on being able to share my story so that people don't go through the same things that I went through, man. And I want to make my life count for something and not just be a waste, not just dying in prison and never having anything to show for it. So I'm just going to do it regardless of if I'm in prison or not. And I find some happiness within that. I have my wife. I'm able to share that with her. And so I feel like I'm living life regardless of if I'm in prison or not in prison, man, you know?
Really, because of a lot of my brothers that I left behind, and lives changed at some point. I knew a lot, but it's like if I was sentenced to 15 years, but it seemed like me having a release date, I always gravitated and somehow created bonds with people that had immense time. I'm talking about people 68 years, 63 years, 120 years, things of that nature. People that will never come home. And all of those guys, at some point in time, I looked at them and I was like, yo, how are you holding up? You got life plus 24 years. How are you out here with a smile on your face? They was able to dig deep and still maintain.
A lot of times people get out of prison after doing so long and then they don't know nothing else. They're institutionalized.
Yeah, institutionalized. I got released March 11, 2004. I'm still institutionalized in a certain way, in certain facets, in the way I move. I still haven't gotten all of that removed. So I've been out longer than I've been in, but some ways are still a part of me in some way. I have to consciously stay conscious of the things that I do, the things that I say, and how I respond to people, places, and things, because we're in an environment where I was trained to react a certain way because of where I was. I'm in a place where you couldn't really smile. You couldn't really show no weakness. You had to meet aggression with aggression. So you do that for so long, things that's normal, that is deemed aggressive to the normal human being in the world, the civilian. See, that is like, why are you being a bitch? Like, why are you being sensitive? But in all actuality, I was actually being overly aggressive. But I'm looking at everyone else like there's something wrong with them. The people that have been in the free world, that never been where I've been, I'm looking at them like, something is wrong with you. You're too weak. No, I was just too much. And it took me years to figure that out.
Man, I really appreciate you coming on here. It was a great interview, and I look forward, OG, to having you come back and talk to us again, maybe at a later time, or having one of your partners come on here and we can talk to them as well. Man, something that you said really, it really put a smile on my face and told me something about being the realest podcast, because this is the only dude that's doing a podcast inside the pod.
Hey, listen, man, when I ran across you, man, I was amazed. Like I tell you, I saw the picture of you in the car. It blew my mind. I said, oh my God, this is genius. This is the realest podcast ever. This is the realest podcast on the airwaves. I gotta find a way to bless them airways with my vote.
And I appreciate it. I want to let you know that I support it all, and much love.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Life of a Rifle podcast is the realest podcast ever, man. Salute.
Thank you for listening. I'm Taylor Conley, and this is Life of a Lifer podcast. Be sure to visit the website lifeofalifer.com, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.